This is the Sebas restaurant where we've conducted a few interviews, and this is located on a very nice square called San Sebastian Square. There's an art gallery next door, churches, and yeah, it's quite nice. Nice environment, pleasant place. Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for meeting with us this morning. I was really fated that I guess we do this because after coming twice and trying to catch up with you, we bumped into each other on the street yesterday, and you agreed to do interviews with us. That's great. Thank you, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
So why don't you tell me, just tell us about your name and where you're from and the States and how the heck you ended up in the restaurant business here in Ecuador.
All right, well, my name's Lindsay Burton, and I'm originally from Kauai, Hawaii. I grew up in Kauai, and when I was about 13, my parents started traveling abroad. So after the age of 13, I kind of grew up in about 7 different countries, changing schools every year, and then eventually ending up in the States to finish high school. After high school, I had the itch to keep traveling. I never really enjoyed living in the continental United States too much.
Get that gypsy blood.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where were some of the other countries that you lived in?
I lived in Okinawa, in Belize, Peru. We lived in the Philippines for a while.
Were your parents adventurers, or were they government employees?
Yes, they actually worked as missionaries at the time, and then also setting up different nonprofit organizations.
Oh, great. Sounds good. So now you reside in Cuenca, and how long have you been here?
I've been here in Cuenca for almost 2 years.
Okay. And are you here on your own? Are you married, single?
I am very much single.
Okay.
Yes.
No kids?
No kids,
you don't have
no.
that responsibility?
No.
Okay. And how did you get in the restaurant business?
When I was 15, I got my first job at a pizza place.
Okay.
And since then, I have loved the restaurant business. Waited tables, managed, trained other waiters. I've kind of been in every part of it. And then last, I lived in Austin, Texas, where I helped some groups open up restaurants and bars and breweries there. So it's always been a part of my life.
So you have a pretty extensive experience.
Yes.
And you know, I don't want to pin you down, but you're in your early 20s or so?
I am 27.
Oh, okay. So you've had a few years to develop some experience. Why do you live overseas?
Well, I've always had the idea of starting a cafe, and financially it seemed impossible in the States. My parents actually found Cuenca about 3 years ago and moved here, and I came to visit them 2 years ago and see Cuenca for the first time, and absolutely fell in love with the culture here. It reminded me very much of the island lifestyle of growing up as a kid, where everyone's kind of knows your neighbor, and Cuenca's a big city with a small town feel, and so you run into the same people every day, and I really enjoy that. So when I came to visit my parents and actually saw this building that was available, I went back to Austin and sold everything and moved here a month later.
Was this a restaurant building?
It was a almuerzo restaurant, so it was about $2 lunches, and it was in shambles. So it took about 6 months to remodel the restaurant.
Was it tough getting permits and all that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. Being a North American coming down here, you can get taken advantage of quite easily. And especially that my Spanish wasn't that great to begin with, I had to take along translators, and it took about 5 months to get all our paperwork together.
How's your Spanish now? Have you developed or studied, or is it just naturally?
It's good. It's kind of a full immersion for me. I studied for the first 3 months I was here, and then I just got too busy to study. But then I dated a guy who didn't speak any English, and I dated him for about a year, and so I learned a lot. And then right now, none of my employees here at the restaurant speak English, so I've just had to learn. Yeah.
That's great. So, just in general, what kind of challenges do you think that expats face living overseas?
I think first of all would be the language. They work with you a lot. They're used to having tourists and travelers, and so if you're using your hands and expressing yourself, they can pretty much understand what you're trying to say. But that would be the hardest difficulty that I would face. Other than that, there's just some cultural differences that you have to adjust to, but I kind of enjoy them, most of them here.
So what are some of the most difficult challenges or issues that you've personally faced living in Burton or living overseas in general?
For me, it's been hard in my age group to find friendships, I guess, and ways for me to enjoy the nightlife and whatnot, social life. At first, because of the language difference, it was hard for me to connect to people. There's also a lot of other people my age coming to Cuenca, but they're here for teaching a few months at a time, and then they go back. So you build friendships, and then they leave, and then you build friendships, and then they leave. So that's been the hardest thing for me, personally.
That was one of the things I was going to ask you about. I know that, I know people that came to... Do you remember the question?
Yeah, the best things about living in another country for me is just kind of, I guess, adapting to other cultures, to learning about different places, opening your eyes to that there's this other world out there, and traveling and the beauty of it. Definitely now just getting to build relationships with people that have a completely different upbringing than I had, and just see how beautiful, I guess, other cultures can be.
So do you find it to be a continuing learning experience for you?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Especially as the language progresses and I can communicate myself better. Yeah, definitely.
Have you, when you mentioned that you went back to the States from some of your other previous experience, talk about that a little bit.
Going back to the States?
Yeah, some people find cultural re-entry is more difficult than cultural...
Absolutely. That was what I was about to say. I think, I've had people tell me they've gone to another country and they've experienced this culture shock of something they've never experienced before, but I think the biggest culture shock I've ever had was moving back to the States and just kind of revisiting the routines that we tend to get into there, and the materialism and shopping and prices and showing off your cars and whatnot, and it's just, I feel like there's this huge sense of freedom from that here that I enjoy.
It's called a re-entry shock, and I think after living overseas for many years myself personally, and many other people's stories, you go back to your hometown, and the people there have, maybe they've grown, but they've grown in a different way, but they're still very much into the context of where they've always been.
Yeah.
And you're bringing this broadened horizon back, that talks about mercados and people, different kinds of people, and life experience. So it's a challenge for a lot of people to react to. Have you heard other people talk about that also? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I've had friends of mine that have come here and taught for a while, like 6 months teaching English here, and had all these great experiences of traveling to the jungle and to the mountains and living in another country and whatnot, and they go back and it's to readjust to being into that. Okay.
The last football game.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, can you share a short story or an episode of some kind that illustrates some of the best things about your experience abroad?
Let's see.
So we can come
That's
back
a hard
to that.
one. Yeah, let me think about that for a second.
Okay. So, what kinds of preparation or orientation did you have before you specifically came to this culture, or maybe you had some training or education prior to living in other foreign cultures?
My preparation and orientation, I guess, was the way my parents brought me up. They kind of fully immerse us in different cultures and different living situations and stuff like that. So at a young age, I was kind of exposed to what it's like to be in an environment that you're not completely comfortable with. But as far as classes or anything like that, I didn't have any orientation.
And you studied Spanish before you came?
No. Yeah, it was one of those decisions in high school that I regret.
Yeah, I was told to study, or not to study Chinese when I was in graduate school because I would never get a chance to go to China. I ended up spending 10 years in China.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes it's important to take advantage of educational situations. Do you have a most interesting story that, or story that you've heard about Americans living overseas or in this culture that illustrates something about overseas adjustment?
I think the thing that I hear daily in the cafe that is the main thing that that people are frustrated and having to get adjusted to is what we called growing up as island time in Hawaii. In Ecuador, Ecuadorians are never on time. And so if you have someone coming to do a project at your house, or you're going to meet your Spanish teacher or things like that, they're going to be late. It just happens. And as Americans, we take it as almost a personal insult because you're sitting there waiting for somebody and they don't come, and just having to adjust to that, to switch that off and just be used to the fact that people are walking to the meeting and they might take a little bit longer, or something came up, or they stopped to get a hot dog or something. But that's the kind of the most frustrating part that I hear people saying about living here in Cuenca.
Yeah, that's a problem that people seem to have in a lot of cultures that I've lived in, and it's what Americans seem to have in relation to other cultures. Why do you think we're so time obsessed and so, that's such a critical part of our culture?
I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy island time. I enjoy taking my time walking somewhere, and if you get stopped by someone and have a conversation, that it's okay if you're 5 minutes late. I do enjoy that a lot.
Well, in some cultures, I tell you one that I learned to listen in early on when I first went there, is that it's very embarrassing to show up on time for like a dinner party in Thailand. You have to be an hour and a half late.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're totally unprepared for you.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how obsessed we are with this. And of the people that I've talked to, that seems to be a common theme. So what about adaptability? I mean, do you think that we're going to change this culture? Or do you think that the people who are smart are going to adapt and accept the culture as it is?
I think the people who are smart and adapt are the ones who end up staying here and loving it and enjoying it. I think the ones who come down here thinking that everyone's going to change to accommodate them are the ones who ship down their containers with all their stuff from the States and move 2 months later back. Can't handle it. I feel like the people that I've met here at the cafe definitely who get into the language, to the culture, who make a point to make friends with Ecuadorians, they absolutely love their lifestyle here. And I feel like the others who have been here 2 years and they still don't speak Spanish are the ones that come in and I'm just like, oh, it's them again. They're going to complain. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, let's put your feet to the fire here for a minute. You have a business to run, right? How does that work here? I mean, in your business, are you okay if the people show up late, or how do you?
No,
things like
I'm
that?
lenient. We have a 15-minute rule, so if you're more than 15 minutes late, then they get punishment. They got to take out extra trash or clean the bathrooms or do something. So. But yeah, it's been hard for me to adjust to that, having employees. It's actually the first time I've I've managed before, but not actually had employees. So it's been a huge process for me to work with them and create a great atmosphere for them here, but at the same time being consistent with them and things that are okay and not okay. Like you can't bring your 2-year-old to work with you.
Well, apparently you've been successful because the atmosphere seems pretty positive. You don't feel a lot of tension when you come here as a customer.
Yeah.
It's like you have a camaraderie.
Definitely,
So you're
definitely.
doing a good job.
Thank you.
Have you thought about any of those episodes or experiences that illustrate stories about people moving here, living here? And if not, we'll go on to the next question, which is,
Yeah, sorry.
you know, what advice would you have for American expatriates considering a move here?
I would definitely advise that they would come down and try 4 months before you make a big decision. Try 4 months, and maybe in that time take some Spanish classes, get to know some locals. Here, if you make friends with the local, then you're invited to every birthday party, every Christmas party. They're the most amazing, warm, and inviting people. And so just to really immerse yourself into the culture for at least 4 months before you make a big decision to come down here.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else you'd like to comment on related to the experience of living abroad and your personal experience of doing business and all that?
I don't know. This is my day off, so my brain turns off on Mondays. But